I. P.Y. Lalita Chaitanya, lecturer in commerce, Government City College. Today's topic is forms of business organization. Let us move on to the introduction regarding the business organizations. Business organization represents a judicious combination of 5 economic resources, popularly termed as 5 M's of business organization. That is men, money, material, machinery, and management. Fundamentally, business organizations can be categorized into 2 broad categories, that is production of goods and services. Second one is distribution of goods and services. Historically, sole trading is the oldest form of business organization, with the development and growth of trade and industries. Many new forms of business organizations have come into existence. Commercial organizations have grown from one man's business, that is sole trading, to organizations with the collective ownership, that is the partnership firm. Later, business organizations took the shape of limited companies or still on large scale of the huge business combinations such as holding companies with several subsidiary companies. Here, the classification of business organizations the following forms of business organizations, that is forms of business, is divided into private sector, joint sector, public sector. In the private sector, individual ownership, collective ownership. Coming to the individual ownership, sole trading concern. Coming to the collective ownership, it comes the types of business, that is a partnership firm, joint Hindu family, joint stock company, cooperative organizations. Move on to the joint sector, public sector and private sector. Under public sector, it is divided into government companies, boards and commissions, government departments, statutory companies. So here, move on to the private sector. What do you mean by a private sector? Under private sector, what type of businesses will come? We'll have a look on that. So private sector enterprises are owned and managed by the individuals or group of individuals. On the basis of ownership and management, private sector organizations are classified as under: number 1, sole trading concern. A sole trading concern is one of the oldest and simplest of all the forms of business enterprises. A business unit which is owned and controlled by a single individual is known as sole trading concern. The person who manages it is called a sole trader. A sole trader may use his own savings for carrying on the business, or he may borrow money from his friends, relatives and others for investing in business. He himself manages the business with the assistance of his relatives or employees. He alone enjoys all profits and bears all losses in the business. It is also known as sole proprietorship or single entrepreneurship or individual proprietorship. All this will come under the sole trading concern. Move on to the next firm, that is a partnership firm. Sole trading concern, with its limitations of finance, management, risk, etc., finds it difficult to cope with expansion of business in the long run. It does become a necessary to find some alternative form of business. A partnership form of business organization provided such as alternative. In partnership form of organization, two or more than two persons come together to conduct some kind of business activity jointly and collectively. The persons who are the owners of a partnership firm are individually called partners, and collectively called a firm. The name under which the partnership is formed is called firm name. Move on to the next point, that is joint Hindu family business. Joint Hindu family business is a unique kind of business organization which is peculiar to India among Hindu families only. It comes into existence due to operation of Hindu law. According to this law, after the death of Hindu, his business comes to be jointly owned by three successive generations, that is son, grandson, great grandson. Son, grandson, great grandson. This interest in inheritance is called co-partnership interest, and the members of the joint Hindu family are known as co-partners. Only the eldest member in the family is allowed to conduct, manage, and control such business. He is called Karta or manager. Next, move on to the next point, that is joint stock company. Just we have a look on that. What do you mean by a joint stock company? As we all of them will know that a joint stock company as a distinct form of business organization developed soon after the Industrial Revolution. Soon after the Industrial Revolution in England, a joint stock company is created by the operations of law and can be dissolved only by law. It is an artificial person created by law, having a separate name, a common seal, a separate legal entity, and perpetual succession. The liability of its members is limited. The liability of its members is limited. The company has very large capital which is divided into smaller parts called shares. So, a company has a very large capital which is divided into small parts is called as a shares. The person who subscribes shares are called shareholders, and they are the owners of the company. Shareholders are the owners of the company. It's called as the joint stock company. Next, move on to the cooperative organizations. The cooperative movement started first in Europe. The main objective of this movement was to bring needy people together. First, this cooperative movement is started in Europe. The main objective of this cooperative organization is movement. It was to bring the needy people together to achieve a common economic goal by way of cooperative trading. In India, the cooperative movement started in 1904 when the first Cooperative Credit Societies Act was passed. Generally, the basic aim of any form of business organization is to earn profit. But the fundamental objective of the cooperative form of business organization is to serve people. It can be said that the main objective of the cooperative organization is organizing and rendering service to its members who have common economic interest is known as cooperative organizations. Coming to the next topic, that is public sector. As we all of them will know that public sector organizations are owned and controlled by the government. If a need arises, the government may invite public to subscribe for its shares and debentures. Public sector undertakings are classified as under: first one is the government companies, second one is boards and commissions, third one is government departments, fourth one is statutory companies. First one is the government companies, means in government companies 51% or more of share capital is controlled by either the central government or the state government or jointly by both. Some such companies are Hindustani Machine Tools Limited, Bharat Petroleum Hindustani Aeronautics, that is Hindustan Aeronautics, HAL, Nationalized Life Insurance Corporation of India and Air India. All this will come under the government companies. So, here in government companies 51% of more of share capital is controlled either by central government or the state government or jointly by both. Some such companies are Hindustan, just now we Bharat Petroleum, LIC, HAL, all these are comes under the government companies. Now move on to the next point, that is boards and commissions. Boards and commissions are formed by the government for specific purposes. These organizations function independently within the framework of the laws formulated by the government. Some examples of such organizations are railway boards, Maharashtra State Electricity Board and Khadi Gramodya Commission. So all this will come under the boards and commissions. Next, move on to the next point, that is government departments. Government departments are established by the government for the smooth functioning of administration. Government departments are established by the government for the smooth functioning of administration. They are independent bodies and function as per the rules and regulations laid down by the government. Some such departments are Income Tax Department, Revenue Department, Excise and Custom Department and Education Department. Move on to the next point, that is statutory companies. Statutory companies are established by a special act of the Parliament. Such companies are significant from the nation point of view. They are required for all around development of the nation. Some such companies are State Bank of India, Reserve Bank of India, Life Insurance Corporation of India, and Baba Atomic Research Center. These are all comes under the statutory companies. Next, move on to the joint sector. Joint sector is a form of a business organization wherein public and private sectors coexist. A joint sector enterprise is jointly owned and managed by the group of individuals and the government departments. Joint sector may be registered companies or large scale partnership organizations. For example, Haldia Chemicals, Gujarat State Fertilizers, and Maruti Udyog Limited. All this will come under the joint sector. In conclusion, it can be said that each form of business organization offers certain advantages and disadvantages of business owners. Again, different forms of business organizations are suitable for different types of business. Considering these, business owners should choose the most appropriate form of business organization. For a small business having reach in local market, sole trading or partnership firms are preferred. For big businesses with wide market and involving considerable risk of loss, larger companies, either private limited or public limited, are preferred. Public sector enterprises and organizations are controlled by the state. These are public corporations and government boards and commissions. Here, the difference between private and public sector, as we all of them will know that. Private sector enterprises are owned, managed and controlled by the individuals or group of individuals. Whereas public sector enterprises are owned, managed and controlled by the government departments. Move on to the management of private sector. It can be managed either by the individual sole trader or group of individuals. Whereas the public sector is managed either by the state government or central government or government departments. Third point, that is ownership. It may be owned individually or collectively by private individuals. It is solely owned by the government or government departments coming to the public sector. Move on to the objective. The fundamental objective of the private sector enterprises is to maximize profits. The public sector enterprises are formed with an objective of social welfare, whereas the objective of private sector enterprise is to maximize the profits, whereas coming to the public sector enterprises, the objective is to for social welfare. Coming to the regulation of private sector, the activities of the private sector are regulated by the special acts of the government. The Partnership Act 1932, the Companies Act 1956. Public sector undertakings are regulated either by the special acts of Parliament such as SBI, and RBI or the state or central government such as Indian Railways. Move on to the scale of operations. The scale of operations of private sector enterprises is limited except in the case of joint stock companies. Coming to the scale of operation of public sector has a huge physical and financial resources, and therefore it operates on a large scale, is known as public sector. Coming to the subsidies, the operations of private sector are not backed up by the government except in the case of small scale and cottage industries. Whereas public sector enterprises enjoy special privileges over the private sector enterprises in terms of subsidies and assistance. Now, move on to the stability. Private sector enterprises are less stable due to internal and external constraints, whereas public sector enterprises are more stable due to government support and patronage. And the productivity in private sector returns are associated with risk and effort, and therefore productivity is comparatively high. Whereas public sector is constrained by bureaucratic approach, and hence productivity suffers due to uneconomic decisions and delayed actions. Now move on to the what are the factors governing choice of form of business organization. The following factors are generally considered by an entrepreneur while selecting a particular form of business organizations. That is, first one is ease of formation. One of the basic points of consideration for an entrepreneur while selecting a form of business organization is the simplicity with which an organization can be set up. A sole trading concern can be set up with the least legal and procedural formalities, while a partnership firm requires lengthy legal documentation. A joint stock company involves lengthy legal, procedural, and documental formalities. Move on to the next point, that is ease of financing. The suitability of a particular organization is also determined the amount of capital required to set up a business organization. If the requirement of capital is limited, it is desirable to set up a sole proprietary concern or partnership firm. In case the amount of capital required is large, the entrepreneur has to float a company and seek a capital from various sources such as public, banks, mutual funds, etc. So here, the suitability of particular organization is determined by the amount of capital required to set up a business organization. If the garment of capital is limited, it is desirable to set up a sole proprietary concern or partnership firm. In case the amount of capital required is large, the entrepreneur has to float the company and seek capital from various sources, that is banks, publics, just now we have discussed mutual funds, etc. Move on to the next point, that is limited liability. Here, another factor that affects the choice of business organization is the degree of risk involved in the business. From this point of view, an entrepreneur would prefer to have a limited liability Limited liability means in case of winding up or insolvency of an organization, the owner or owners are held responsible only up to the amount to be contributed by them in the business is known as limited liability. Next, move on to the next point, that is control of management and ownership. Here, ideally, the control of organization should lie with the owners. If the management is not in the hands of the owners, the former may not take much interest in increasing efficiency as well as maximizing profits. However, sometimes separation of management and ownership is desirable. This is necessary in order to avail the services of professionals to manage a business operations. Is known as control of management and ownership. Next, move on to the flexibility of operations. Business environment is changing very fast, and business organizations have to adopt in order to survive and grow. The flexibility and adaptability of a business organization depends upon its size and the involvement of the management and the owners. A good organization adjusts itself to change without much difficulty. Such an organization is concerned to be more flexible in operation. Is known as flexibility of operations. Next, move on to the next point, that is continuity and stability. A good business organization should be in a position to last over a long period of time. This is important from the business as well as the social point of view. An entrepreneur should be able to reap returns on investment over a longer period of time. Similarly, if an organization runs for a longer time, it makes a social contribution by providing job opportunity and contributing to the prosperity of the nations. So here, a good business organization should be in a position to last for a longer period of time. So this is important form of business as well as a social point of view. Next, move on to the maintenance of business secrets. This is an important factor to be considered while selecting a business organization. An entrepreneur should see to it that important business secrets are retained without being leaked out to business competitors. These can be ensured by careful selection of business enterprise and business associates and a mutual understanding between them. Move on to the next point, that is freedom from state regulation. Practically, all types of business organizations are governed by the state regulations. Depending on the size of organization, considerable amount of time, energy and money is spent by the entrepreneur in complying with the legal formalities. Therefore, it is desirable to select the size and types of organizations which may invite minimum state interference in the business. Next, move on to the tax consideration. Tax consideration always plays an important role besides capital and liability in selecting a suitable form of business organization. The assessment of taxes differ for different forms of organization. However, certain taxes like sales tax, excise tax, custom duty, etc., are common to all types of businesses. An ideal form of organization should be such that it minimizes the tax liability of a business. So, all this will come under the tax considerations. Finally, the summary about the business organization represents a combination of five economic resources, popularly termed as we have discussed men, money, material, machinery, and management. Historically, sole trading is the oldest form of business organization. With the development and growth of trade and industry, many new forms of business organizations have came into the existence. Just now we have discussed the forms of business organization, that is the private sector. Coming into the private sector, the points included in that private sector business is sole trading concern, partnership concern, joint Hindu family business, joint stock company, cooperative organizations. Move on to the public sector companies is government companies, board of commissions, government departments, statutory companies. So all this joint sector, these are all the forms of business organization.